morning, Laguna Woods. My name's Rick Bradford, pastor at Saddleback Church, Laguna Woods, and thank you for tuning in today to Inspiration for Today. I appreciate it. I pay the audience to do that, but we're good. Thank you. And but we have a special show for you today because we have a guest who is a member of our church, but he's also got a role within the Laguna Woods Disaster Relief Team. And the things we'll learn today are going to help every one of us should the unfortunate event ever happen. But our verse for today that goes right along with that is out of Romans chapter 12 at verse 13. And it says, when God's people are in need, be ready to help them. And it's not just God's people. We're to be ready as followers of Christ to help our neighbors in need, but we're also called to be ready ourselves. So my guest today is Bruce Bonbright. And good morning, Bruce.
Good morning.
I'm glad you're here. What's
you.
your role in Laguna Woods?
Well, I'm a radio operator that helps out the disaster task force in times of disaster, and also at the city of Laguna Woods as well.
So the radio thing is if phone lines go down or something?
Right, exactly.
Oh, that's so great.
We shadow the disaster task force to make sure they can communicate.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we wanted to talk about basically two things. What kind of disasters might we have? And secondly, what can we do, should we do to prepare?
That's really a great question. First of all, there's probably earthquake as your most serious danger, along with fire.
Okay.
And of course, there's floods and a number of other kinds of disasters. But there are a lot of things that we could do to get ready for those.
Okay, so what should I do?
Okay, first
today?
of all, there's a wonderful website that the village has for the disaster task force. And everyone should go to that website. There's a lot of resources there that they can get.
Okay.
But in a nutshell, you need to have a week's worth of food and water. And water would be 1 gallon per person per day.
Okay.
And the food is something that you can eat that doesn't require preparation. You may not have electricity, you may not have water. So you need to be able to prepare it with
And
what you
were
have.
suggesting gallons of water?
Yes, 1
bottle.
gallon per person per
Okay.
day. Yeah.
Okay. But can you also count like your water heater, for instance?
Yes, you
Because I
can.
think they run at least 20 gallons.
Yes, that's a great. If you run out of the store-bought water that you've got, then you can definitely use that spigot at the very
Okay.
bottom of your water heater, and that's safe to drink. So that's an excellent supply.
Well, I appreciate you
Yeah.
saying that because I've always kind of taken that as a backup. You were showing me a kit, though.
Yeah,
What is that?
This is something. Our village has got some amazing resources.
They do.
I am so thrilled with this place. The village disaster task force is headed by Tim Moy, who's the head of security.
Okay.
A terrific, really terrific head. And they offer these disaster kits at wholesale prices at the disaster task force office in the community center. And
So it's
they have
more
all
first
the things
aid
that you
things,
need.
or-
There's water pouches in there.
Oh.
There's freeze-dried food in there. There's radio, flashlight,
Really?
everything that you need.
How much is that?
That's about $40-ish.
So if I save up, I can get one.
You really can't afford not to get something like this. It's
Yes.
really important to have.
Well,
So
I do stand amazed at all that our community does
It's
for us,
amazing.
and that's just another example. Now, I know you had a lot of experience in this whole relief area over the years, and you were telling me about you sent a team down to Hurricane Harvey, was it?
Yes. In Hawaii, I had a disaster task force down there, and for the Salvation Army, and we sent a group down to Bovard, Texas, to serve the residents in that area. And the huge flood, the flood went up to the rooftops of these houses. And when it was safe to come in, we brought in food and water and different provisions.
Yeah.
There were miles and miles of debris stacked up 8 to 10 feet tall. And
It's hard to imagine,
it
honestly.
is. It's really hard for us to imagine that.
It is.
But in the midst of that, you see the wonderful thing, the way God works in the people that are affected by this. And in the middle of the debris, and I think there might be a picture that you
Yeah,
can see
we're
there.
putting it up.
Okay. There's a picture here of a refrigerator just in the midst of all the other debris, and the homeowners have pasted up a sign that says, "God is still so good," in the middle of enormous disaster. It's just a beautiful thing. It really
I
is.
love that type
Yeah.
of faith.
Yeah.
Although, let me say, often hard times like that either drive you away from God or to Him.
Absolutely.
So in fact, I'm reminded of, I don't know if you know this or not, but the day of most people attending church in the last several decades, do you know what day that was?
After 9/11.
The Sunday after 9/11.
Yeah.
At Saddleback, you couldn't get anywhere near it, but I know that was true of all other churches.
Yeah.
So people going back to the
Yeah.
Lord. So the good advice is don't wait till then.
Exactly.
But anyway, let's say disaster, God forbid, happens. Then what do we do?
Okay, great question, because the residents themselves, we need to be prepared within our own manner. So we should have a first aid kit, and we should know how to do first aid. And that same disaster task force offers first aid training regularly throughout the year. Please, please take that training. That's really important, because your first responders may not be able to help you right away.
Well, they might not get to you.
They may not get to you, exactly. Now, if your manor is in an unsafe condition and you can't stay there, it's always best to shelter where you are.
Oh, okay.
But if you can't shelter there, then where do you go? You go to your nearest clubhouse. Your nearest clubhouse will turn into a care and reception center.
All 7 of them?
All 7 of them. And including, there's if you're close to the par 3 golf course, that little entry, there's first aid and care right there as well.
Okay.
So go there and seek refuge if you can't stay in your own manor.
Okay.
And they'll care for you, they'll help you, and they'll make sure that you get what you need.
But I got to tell you, knowing the people of Laguna Woods, I know you're saying that go to those, but I know they're going to look around for their neighbors
Exactly.
and see who they can
Exactly.
help.
And
I just know they will.
every building, we would love to see every building have what we call a building captain.
Oh.
Now, I don't know what the percentage is, but there's a lot of buildings that don't have one. It's a volunteer thing. It's very simple. All you're doing is keeping track of how your neighbors are.
Yes.
There's free training that the Disaster Task Force offers year-round. Please be sure to
Okay.
volunteer to be a building captain.
And I know I've met many people who have taken on that role, so it's not uncommon, but we could always use more. And I actually think, though, that, because I live in this has 4 units, and I don't think we have an official one, but I know all 4 of those people. We're all going to do that, Bruce, if we can.
Yeah.
If we can. Well, I so appreciate
Thank you.
what you're doing, and you've really assured me that the whole Laguna Woods team has thought this through and are prepared to help us in any way. You feel that way, right?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah. There's
That's
a
great.
whole large group of people that are ready to respond, and they're training all the time.
Well, great. I do love our community, and so this is just one more thing that allows me to be excited about sharing it. So our verse for today, just one more time: when God's people are in need, be ready to help them. We kind of added to that and said, be ready ourselves too.
Exactly.
But and I know we're going to do the best we can, but we're also going to be ready to help those who are in need. Well, Bruce, thank you for coming.
Thank you.
God bless you, and may everyone have a very blessed week this week, and walking and thinking about these verses that we have talked about all week long. Thanks for tuning in today.
Thank you.